Napoleon showed particular attention to the smallest details, including in his choice of jewelry. This not only reflected his admiration for beauty, but also signaled his desire to immortalize his reign with these precious symbols of power and prestige. The jewelry he wore reflected not only his imperial status, but also his exquisite taste and symbolic meaning. Napoleon was known for his fine sense of style, and he is credited with starting the fashion of wearing teal arrows in Europe. He even commissioned a series of luxurious headpieces for his lover Josephine, which emphasized his romantic nature. Before we move on to look at Napoleon's most famous jewelry, let's support this channel by clicking the like and subscribe button. Now let's take a look at the most magnificent necklace named Napoleon's diamond necklace, which, according to historical records, he gave to his second wife, Louise, in honor of the birth of their son in 1811. This piece of jewelry is set with 234 diamonds, each cut in intricate patterns such as the usher, briolette, and drop. Napoleon married Marie-Louise Bonaparte in 1810, just 2 months after his divorce from Josephine. A year after their marriage, Marie-Louise gave Napoleon a son, Napoleon II. The creation of the diamond necklace was entrusted to the jewelers of the house of Nitot et Fils. The cost of the jewelry was 376,274 francs at the exchange rate of the time. In 1815, when Napoleon was exiled to St. Helena, his second wife returned to Austria and continued to own the jewelry until her death. The story of Napoleon's necklace proved to be as mysterious and complicated as the emperor's own fate. After the precious jewelry passed into the inheritance of Marie-Louise, it became an object of admiration and envy, causing many intrigues and hoaxes. Several portraits of the empress by famous artists such as François Gérard and Giovanni Battista Borghese have survived to commemorate the gift. However, after the death of Marie-Louise, the fate of the necklace took an even more complicated turn. In 1929, the heiress of Maria Teresa of Portugal decided to sell the jewelry in the United States, setting the price an impressive amount of $450,000. However, the deal failed to materialize, and the necklace was sold to Harry Winston for a much smaller sum, $60,000. The jewelry changed owners several times before ending up in the hands of businesswoman Marjorie Merriweather Post. However, the history of the necklace did not end here. In 1962, Marjorie decided to donate it to the Smithsonian University in Washington. Now, this unique piece of jewelry is kept in the exposition of the National Museum of Natural History. The necklace was not the only piece of luxury jewelry associated with Napoleon's history. Undoubtedly, one of the most interesting objects was the spikes of wheat tiara. This is a rare example of a surviving gemstone from the Napoleonic era made in the shape of ears of wheat. The tiara, created in 1811 by François Renaud Nieto, Napoleon Bonaparte's court jeweler, was made of gold and silver and set with antique cut diamonds. This unique piece of jewelry was part of the neoclassical aesthetic that was very popular during the reign of the emperor. Today, the wheat ears tiara is not only an object of luxury and elegance, but also a historical witness to the great era of the French Empire. The famous Jean-Louis David painting depicting the 1804 coronation of Napoleon and Josephine at Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris shows Pauline Bonaparte. Historians assume that after the death of the sister of Napoleon I, the ears of wheat remained with the descendants of the Borghese family, who later sold this historic piece of jewelry. By the way, the wreath was sold to a new owner for a considerable sum, almost $900,000. The author of this work of jewelry art was the court jeweler of the French Emperor, Napoleon Bonaparte, the talented François Renaud Nieto. After the fall of the First Empire in 1815, he sold his jewelry business to one of his masters, Jean-Baptiste Fosson. In 1885, the business was taken over by Joseph Chaumet, who gave the company its name. The next tiara given by Napoleon is called the Diadem of Marie-Louise of Austria. Among all the stories about the fate of jewelry are especially interesting cases of their unusual metamorphosis, when jewelry passes from hand to hand, changing their owners and sometimes even their appearance. Let us recall the amazing love story of Napoleon and Josephine de Beauharnais. Josephine was older than Napoleon, and because of her age could not give him an heir. The story of their union, viewed through the prism of centuries, fills us with warmth and sympathy for this beautiful woman. Napoleon, in an effort to provide an heir, divorced Josephine and found a new wife. The new Empress of France was the Austrian Princess Marie-Louise, who, a year after her marriage to Napoleon I, brought into the world the long-awaited heir. As a token of love and respect, Napoleon presented his beloved with a magnificent set of jewelry, including a marvelously sparkling emerald tiara designed to crown the elaborate hairstyles of the new Empress of France. This luxurious set also included a comb, delicate earrings and necklace created in gold and silver and beautifully encrusted with 874 diamonds, 264 pink diamonds, 32 emeralds, and one massive 13.75 carat emerald crystal. The modern fashion for tiaras is making a rapid comeback, becoming an integral part of delightful hairstyles at weddings and other formal events. Modern tiaras, whether precious or costume jewelry, can make your look truly unique. Marie-Louise treasured the jewelry gift from Napoleon, and despite difficult circumstances, never parted with the jewelry. Even in the most difficult moments of her life, when she had to flee France, she took with her only the most necessary and valuable things, including this wedding jewelry set. In the 20th century, in 1953, the unique parure that belonged to the heirs of the Duchess of Parma was sold to a leading jewelry company. Unfortunately, this parure was divided into parts, and the beautiful stones from the tiara were extracted and sold under the name of Emeralds of Napoleon's historical tiara. One cannot help but feel saddened by this transformation of the jewels, although the Persian turquoise used as a replacement has a beauty of its own, reminiscent of the color of the sky reflected in the ocean. The bluish stones with green reflections harmonize perfectly with the diamonds of the tiara, but the change in jewelry still evokes a sense of loss. Marie-Louise, former Empress of France, spent the rest of her days in Parma, where her citizens revered her as a beloved ruler. She established her own court, married twice more, and was famous for her charitable works. She helped build a theater, bridges, hospitals, and schools for children. It was rumored that the modified treasure of Marie-Louise was lost, but no trace of the tiara was lost. Today, the historic tiara is an exhibit at the National Museum of Natural History in Washington, D.C. But Napoleon did not leave himself without a gift, creating the crown of Napoleon, also known as Charlemagne's crown. Statesman, military leader, and famous French Emperor Napoleon Bonaparte made grandiose plans and loved spectacular outings. For his coronation, he ordered a magnificent crown and named it after Charlemagne, symbolizing his desire for greatness and respect from his subjects. The crown was made for Napoleon in 1804 by Martin Guillaume Bienne. This unique piece consists of 8 half-arcs decorated with carnelian and cameos, with a gold ball and a cross at the intersection of the arcs. Its diameter is 18.5 centimeters, and its height is 25 centimeters. The style of the crown is a mixture of medieval and neoclassical design, making it unique for its time. It is important to note that unlike many other crowns, there are no gemstones or diamonds. The religious coronation ceremony took place on December 2nd, 1804, at the Cathedral of Our Lady of Paris, under the direction of Pope Pius VII. The event, lasting about 5 hours, involved placing 2 crowns on the emperor's head. First, the traditional golden laurel wreath, and then the crown of Charlemagne. This crown was also placed on the head of Empress Josephine. Hundreds of quinarians were made and distributed to the crowd in honor of the event. Napoleon's crown was in active use until 1815, when Napoleon abdicated for a second time. After him, rule passed to Louis XIV, who refused to be crowned. This was followed by the government of Charles X, who held a ceremony using the crown of Louis XIV. This was the last coronation in French history. In 1852, Napoleon III became the new ruler and owner of the imperial treasures. He did not wear his uncle's crown and ordered new regalia to be made for himself and his wife. Much of the royal jewelry was sold in 1885, and the remaining crowns were seized by the French National Assembly and replaced with glass stones. Napoleon's crown was miraculously preserved and is today an exhibit of the Louvre. After Napoleon Bonaparte's coronation in 1804, the pure gold laurel wreath he used proved too heavy for the emperor, and he demanded that 6 leaves be removed. These leaves were subsequently presented to the daughters of Martin Guillaume Bien, the craftsman who created the wreath. One of the laurel leaves accidentally broke off and was presented to the court painter Jean-Baptiste Isabey. This fragment is the only thing that remains of the crown, which was destroyed in 1819 on the orders of Louis XVIII. In 2017, this fragment was sold at auction for €625,000. Pierre-Jean Chalençon owns one of the largest collections of royal regalia, including a sword with a gold hilt decorated with diamonds, a staff with figures of bees, a coronation ring with a 5.33-carat ruby, and other valuable artifacts related to the coronation of Napoleon. Its collection also includes an original life-size portrait of Napoleon and the great coat of arms in gilded bronze. The Army Museum in Paris preserves a ceremonial saddle, presumably used in the coronation procession. The only surviving garment associated with the coronation is the Countess of Béranger's dress, which has a distinctive period style. These pieces are regularly exhibited in France and around the world, allowing people to immerse themselves in the history of Napoleon's coronation and the Napoleonic Wars era.